Video is overviewing LeanLaw's trust request and payment from trust. So the interoperability of LeanLaw to QuickBooks Online as it relates to the trust accounting function of a retainer management process. I've created a client called Jessica Kingsley. It's an immigration matter, so it's a fixed fee matter. I did that by just saying add client, add matter, and there's this very easy workflow associated with that. First thing I want to do is a trust request, and I want this to be 100% electronic. If I did receive a physical check or a wire, I could use the trust deposit function, which would still automate much of the accounting aspect, but I want to ask for that trust in an electronic way. So I use the trust request format. And you pick a client and the matter automatically associated with it. So I filled out this trust request, and you can see it's for $5,000. I've put a little deposit memo in here, identified the email address, the subject, and the header. This is important because this is the data that ensures your compliance. I'm going to request that funds. And so that just sends an email message to the client saying, hey, we've requested some money. So let's go take a look at what the client sees upon requesting that. I'm opening up a standard Google interface, a Gmail interface, and I can see I've got the law firm. It would be whoever your law firm is, of course. It wouldn't say user first, it would say your law firm's name. And you'd see it says retainer request. When they come into that email, they see the amount due and they can pay that online. So this opens up a standard interface to receive the money via debit or bank transfer ACH. If you chose not to want credit cards, you could suppress that or do a bank transfer. So let's just pay that and we'll take a look at what that looks like once it's paid. I've completed the information here and now I'm going to complete the payment. So that payment is processed automatically. Of course, a confirmation comes on screen to your client that says that. If we head over here now to the email engine, we'll see some emails pop up with our confirmation. So there's going to be 3 confirmations here. The first confirmation is just that the client stored a payment method. That just tells you, the law firm, that you have that payment information on file. So in the future, they don't have to ask it again. Secondly, your law firm is notified that the client actually paid you. So you get an email record to file with the client's record that you paid it. And 3, the client gets a receipt for that payment. So they know, hey, I have some electronic form validating payment. Let's look what's happened in LeanLaw with that and in QuickBooks. So I'm now back in LeanLaw. We've received that trust request, and you will immediately have visibility in LeanLaw that that $5,000 on the Jessica Kingsley matter has been deposited. And you can see the ledger activity if you click in here from the LeanLaw side. Now, if I open up QuickBooks, you can see that on the QuickBooks side, we show that deposit, and we've already done all of the trust compliant work. We've made sure that the deposit went into the correct IOLTA account, and we created the liability. When that client was added to LeanLaw, that client was added to QuickBooks. When that deposit was received from the trust request, that was added to LeanLaw, and simultaneously the accounting activities happened in QuickBooks. All of that's done in a fully 100% transparent and automated way. So let's now add a fee that we'll eventually pay from trust. So I'm back under matters. Here's this immigration matter for Jessica. I'm going to click in here and go into a fixed fee and create a fixed fee. When I create that from a template, I can grab, anything I've made, like installment 1 on my Visa for $3,000. So that can be prepared and ready to go, or I could do a basic one. We have the ability to create recurring fixed fees. So if it was a $20,000 fixed fee and you wanted to bill 4 payments of $5,000, you could do that. So when we create that fixed fee, I've got to add a user because that's my rules. I now have that fixed fee and it's ready to be billed. So I'm going to skip how we create an invoice and go just to the invoice payment side and invoice delivery. And we'll do that next. Now, LeanLaw has a very programmatic way of producing draft invoices and having them be reviewed, and we do this through a ready to bill, draft, and approved. I skipped that step and went right in and produced my invoice here, and we can see we have a paid invoice. Now, LeanLaw, because I have a feature turned on, automatically paid that invoice from trust. I could have also applied a payment using our apply payment from trust feature, which is right here, record a payment from trust. And again, that automates the bookkeeping activities that happens in QuickBooks, ensuring that you're doing so in a correct accounting way and a trust compliant way. This is what this invoice now looks like. We can see that we've got the invoice here. It's just loading the PDF that shows it's paid. We showed a retainer balance here on the actual invoice. So you can see the actual transactional activity. There was $5,060 in paid from the retainer. There's $1,940 left over. But LeanLaw's also included a trust statement showing essentially what the status of the trust is as of 5/17 and the 2 transaction activities. We now would just email that to the client as a paid email. And so the client would see this, and we're going to go over to the email section right now and we'll have a look there. So our invoice has delivered, and we can see that we now have a nice little statement here. There is no dollars amount due. We can see that a payment was made from retainer, and the retainer balance is $1,940. And again, we have that invoice and that trust activity report all there to be presented to the client. Last point, let's take a look at what happened on the QuickBooks side. So on the QuickBooks side, we did 2 transactions when we paid that $3,000 invoice from trust. The first was LeanLaw produced an invoice here, you can see for $30.60, and then we applied a payment on it because we had the money in trust and we applied the payment. On the liability ledger side, what we do in QuickBooks, you can see that that's where that check was used to make the payment. We decreased the cash asset side of the balance sheet, the IOLTA Ohio account, and we also decreased the liability side. And again, that function pay from trust that I illustrated earlier facilitated that entirely. The last step in the process to illustrate here is just if a lawyer came back in and wanted to see what was happening with that trust account. I've jumped back into LeanLaw. I'm under the report section and I'm under the trust report. And here you can see Jessica's trust account. You can see the balance is $1,940. And if I click into that, we see the transactional activity and appropriate. So that is the life cycle of requesting trust electronically, creating a fixed fee, paying that invoice from trust, and then having this invoice delivered to the client. Thanks for watching.